Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my June wrap up. So June was not a particularly good reading month for me. In terms of numbers, it was fine. I read 17 books, which I understand is a lot of books, but 8 of those were 3-star reads. And for me, a 3-star it's a perfectly fine book, but it did nothing special for me. So I actually read 12 of the 17 books were 3-star or under, so I didn't have the most enjoyable reading month, but then some of the good books I read I absolutely loved. Editing me is going to hate this video because this month is also seeming to be the month that if I read a book that was 3 stars or under, I unhauled it. So we've got 11 of the 12 books to get through, which I don't own anymore. So there is plenty of space, which side should I stand? Plenty of space to add photos of the books. So I may as well just get started. A little bit more on the stats actually before I do. So I read 3 2-star books, 1 2.5-star book, 8 3-star books, 2 4-star books, 1 4.5-star book, and 2 5-star books. So starting off at the 2-star books, the first one I'm really sad about, and that is Dress Codes for Small Towns by Courtney Stevens. This was really lovingly given to me by Annie from Annie Page Reads for my birthday in January, so I really wanted to love this book because I do not like getting rid of books that other people have given me. Saying that, I didn't love it. Do you know what? I really can't remember what this is even about. It's a very small town in America. I know that because the setting really intrigued me, and it's just about a town festival that's going to be cancelled, and these kids take it upon themselves to raise the money. So it was very supposed to be feel-good story, I believe, and it just didn't really follow through for me. I'm not going to talk in too much detail about some of these books because we will be here all day. The next 2-star book I read was Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. This was about, what was her name? The main character's name has completely slipped my mind. As I said, it's a 2-star read, it's not very memorable. And this girl she had no official diagnosis. She was just a genius, according to the counsellor that she was seeing. And this is about a little girl who has had the odds against her, it seems anyway. She is adopted, and her adoptive mother and father both die in a tragic car accident, and this is about her adjusting to her life after that. Another one that I really wanted to be heartfelt and just really emotional and nice but tragic, and it just didn't follow through. I was pretty bored through the whole thing. The next 2-star book I read was Are We All Lemmings and Snowflakes by Holly Bourne. I know that I'm not a massive fan of Holly Bourne's writing, but I saw this book going really cheap and decided to give another one of her books a go. I normally give them 3 stars, they're normally perfectly fine reads for me, but this one I did not like. It really made me feel uncomfortable, and I don't think personally it was the subject matter. So this is about a girl who is having some issues, and she goes to Camp Reset, which is a teen mental health camp to try and get these kids back on their feet. And I didn't like it. I think we can tell from the beginning that our main character, again, whose name I've completely forgotten, I don't do main characters' names, she is showing signs of bipolar, but she's also very young, and you cannot diagnose bipolar in somebody that's very young, but that is what she's showing signs of. So I don't think it was the subject matter that made me feel uncomfortable. I genuinely think it was Holly Bourne's writing and how she was discussing the mental health of everybody in this camp. It really bothered me. I didn't like it. I didn't absolutely hate this book because I didn't give it 1 star, so there were a few redeeming qualities, but it wasn't good enough for me for a 3-star. One book I'm still not perfectly happy with my rating on is Paper Towns by John Green, which I gave 2.5 stars. So I was buddy reading this with Emily from Novel Novels, and I have been making my way through all of John Green's books and giving them another go to see whether I still love them as much as I did as a very young teenager. I haven't quite got round to The Fault in Our Stars yet, which I'm so daunted by because I really still want to love that book. I did only very recently read Turtles All the Way Down, so I know that one is still one I like, but some of the stuff that I read in the early 2010s I'm not trusting my opinion on. So I reread this with Emily and I didn't like it. It was so I think I might even need to change my rating from a 2.5 down to a 2. It wasn't good for me. I was bored. I didn't care. So this is about, again, I've forgotten the complete main character's name, like the guy, but this is about Margot, who keeps disappearing, and at one point she disappears and this guy takes it upon himself to find her. And she's like been leaving him clues, but has she been leaving him clues? And it was just the whole thing, like just sort of not glamorized, what's the word? When you say, it basically just shone a really positive light on a teenage girl running away and like abandoning everything. Like she didn't graduate high school, and she literally just left. Like she left her parents. She wasn't in a good situation, but she left her parents, she left her friends, she left this guy, whoever his name is, and it was like glamorizing it, and I didn't really like it. I thought there was a better way to explain if Margot was going through any sort of mental health problems rather than just she ran away and this guy, I want to say his name's Justin, I'm not sure it is, goes on this big magical adventure to find her, and it was sort of boring. So next, the 3-star books, and there are 8 of them, so I will keep this very, very short. The first one being Spousal by Sebastian de Castile. So this was actually a reread for me. I wanted to listen to an audiobook and I saw that my library app had Spousal, so I decided to give it another go. This book I did give 3 stars the first time round, and I think I did enjoy it slightly more through the audiobook. I found it much easier to follow, and it was like a lot less effort for me because I don't typically do this sort of fantasy. So I did really enjoy the audiobook, but I couldn't give it more than 3 stars. So it was good, but it wasn't my typical cup of tea. And moving on from that, I also listened to Shadow Black by Sebastian de Castile, which is the second book in the Spousal series. And I also gave this one 3 stars. So again, great story. I did enjoy my time, but it didn't do anything extra for me. It was just a nice, easy book to listen to while I was working, but I'm not going out of my way to get the 3rd book in the series, and I did only listen to both of these because they were on my library app, and my choices on that app are kind of limited. Next, I made a strange decision and decided to reread 50 Shades of Grey. So I read this near the start of the month. I was having a lot of problems getting into books. I was feeling kind of slumpy, so I decided to pick up 50 Shades because what else would you do? I can't, in theory, should this book be a 1 star? I don't know. We all know the problems with 50 Shades of Grey. We all know it's not amazing, but I had a genuinely good time reading it. I find the story and the series as a whole as enjoyable. It's like feel-good, trashy reading. So 3 stars. Then I read The Duff by Cody Keplinger, which again, I also gave 3 stars. This book was fine, but I couldn't stretch this more than fine. This is about Bianca, who is told by, I want to say Wesley, who's like the popular guy in school, that she is the Duff, standing for the designated ugly fat friend. And that, yeah, she's not going to get anyone because she's the Duff, and she doesn't really like this. She thinks Wesley is a bit of an idiot. And the whole book then is her having a secret relationship with this guy she thinks is an idiot, which was a very interesting read. Did enjoy it, but it wasn't profound in any way. It was just these two kind of creeping around, and it was fun to read, but it wasn't anything amazing. Next was The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window by Kirsty Mosley. This, again, 3 stars. Parts of this book I absolutely loved, and parts of it were completely, it wouldn't have happened. So the main thing I liked about this book was the boy sneaking in her bedroom window is her older brother's best friend. And there is a secret little romance going on, and I enjoyed that part of the story. It was like kind of forbidden love, kind of just not knowing whether they have approval for forbidden love. So that's my cup of tea. But the whole thing is this guy has been sneaking into her bedroom window and sleeping with her every night since she was like 10 or 8, which is completely, it's not possible. I'm sorry. If that has happened to somebody in the world, then I'm glad that this book is representing them, but that's not a thing, okay? And then the main character did have a lot of issues in her past that she was struggling to get around, and the boy sneaking in her bedroom window was helping her out with those, which is absolutely adorable and I love it. But then I think let's say the last 1/5 of this book was so random. It could have been a weird sequel novella. It was everything from this relationship's like progression, and it just wasn't needed, completely irrelevant, but a lot of drama. So I did really enjoy my time reading this, and I did talk about how I believe this book is self-published and how I really do think they may have benefited from a good editor, but that's not my place to judge. It was a fun time to read, but it wasn't the best thing I've ever read in my life. 3 more in the 3-star category. So next we have Faceless by Alyssa Sheenmull. This is about a girl, I can't remember any of these characters' names that I have in the book in front of me, I can't even apologise anymore, who is, she's a runner, she's in high school, and one day, like early morning, she goes out for a run and there is a thunderstorm and some electrical wires she's next to get struck by lightning, and there's an electrical fire and it burns the majority of her face away. So she has a face transplant. Okay. And this whole book is about her like accepting that she's not really going to look the same anymore. And that's really all I can say about it that's kind of it. I wanted to be more emotional in this book, which is why I think I had to stick on a 3-star rating. Maybe the story as itself could have been a 4-star, but I'm a very emotional person and this book did not make me cry. So for me, it was missing something. Next, I have Light as a Feather by Zoe Arson. This I am giving to my friend Sydney and sending her a load of English treats and tea because she's from America. So I'm really excited to be passing that book on to her. This was about a group of friends who play the game Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board, which is where my first issue comes in. I thought the author had made this game up, and I thought that was a very intelligent part of the story. Turns out it is just like an American game that kids and early teens play. So that knocked down a bit for me because I thought they had this really exciting idea when they did not. And this is about a girl at the party where the girls are playing this game, predicts the death of the other girls in the room perfectly, like to the last detail, and they're very gruesome. And then these deaths start happening and becoming true, which was good. That's where I was like, I was in the 4-star range, I was loving it. But then the last chunk of this book, like last 3 chapters, felt like they were written by a different author, so I had to knock it back down. Obviously I can't tell you what happens, but it was insanely weird. So I'm going to leave it at 3 stars and not really think about it. And the first book I actually have in front of me to show you, that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. So I gave this 3 stars, but I am keeping it because I have the next 3 books in the series to get round to. This is a book I was reading for our Sisters Approximately 2nd podcast of the month, which is about dark academia. So I picked up another dark academia book. This is about Blue, who lives with all of her psychic aunties. I'm going to go with aunties, that sounds more normal coming out of my mouth. And she is told that when she meets her true love, if she kisses him, he will die. And then one night, this magical night of the year, where all of the psychic aunties can see anyone in the town that's going to die within the next year, Blue sees this guy, Gansey. And her aunt tells her that's because Gansey is either her true love or she killed him, or both. So that is pretty much all it tells you on the back. I won't go into more detail because I feel like we could be here for ages, but if you want more detail on this book, I can definitely link the Sisters Approximately podcast if it's gone up by the time this video has. Finally, on the 4-star books, the first 4-star book I have to talk about is Perfect Chemistry by, we're going to say, Simone E, because I still haven't looked at how you pronounce this author's last name, if you can read that. This is the cutest story. This is about Brittany, who is like the perfect girl. She has no issues, she has the perfect boyfriend, perfect life, and she meets Alex, who is a gang member, and he's definitely not perfect. And it literally says on the front, 2 different worlds, 1 true love. I don't want to tell you more about the story. It was absolutely fantastic. Reading this, I knew that it should, in terms of my ratings, especially the other books I've talked about this month, it should be a 3-star, but my enjoyment I got out of this was pushing it up very high, so I gave it 4 stars. Next, I have Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead, which is the 4th book in the Vampire Academy series. So this was a chunker. This was a difficult one to get through, and I definitely found that the first, maybe 2/3 of this, I was sitting on a 3-star rating. I really wasn't impressed, but then just the pace of it really picked back up for me. I genuinely enjoyed it. I won't go too much into what the Vampire Academy world is about, because I seem to say that in every TBR and every wrap-up because I've been reading one of these books a month. Let's just say it was a very good time reading it, and I cannot wait to read book number 5. Next, my 4.5-star read is The Escape Room by Megan Goldin, which I buddy read with Connor from Connor's Library Corner. I had nearly no issues with this book. It could have been a 5-star. It was a lot of like office politics, which I do genuinely enjoy in a book. I don't know why it appeals to me so much, but I really feel like this book is branded wrong. If you would like I'm going to try and do it without spoilers. If you want to know nothing about this book, then please just skip like 30 seconds because I don't want to ruin it if you want to go into this completely blind. So my issue with this book is that it's called The Escape Room and it doesn't have an escape room. And that is all I will say because I don't want to spoil things. There isn't one. So I went into this book expecting the movies of The Escape Room. I know there's 2 and they're completely different, but I wanted something along those lines and that's not what I got, but I did really enjoy what I did read. So 4.5 stars. And finally, my 2 favourite books of the month. So starting off with City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. This is the 5th book in the Mortal Instruments series and the first book since City of Bones in this series I've given 5 stars. Everything else has dropped down to a 4.5, but my time reading this was amazing. I absolutely loved it. So much enjoyment out of this book, and I can't tell you too much about it because it is the 5th book in the series. But I've seen a lot of people now starting to read the Shadowhunters books, so I feel like if you have the slightest desire to get to these, just definitely do it. And then, without a doubt, my favourite book of the month was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this was our Sisters Approximately book club pick. I know that Brittany also gave this 5 stars, and I will link in the description our live show discussing this book and everything we had to say about it. Absolutely loved it. This is about Alex, who gets a job at Leith, the 9th house of Yale, which is a secret organisation that manages the secret societies of Yale. In this book, we've got ghosts, we've got murder, we've got magic. I don't even know how to talk about it. It was such a good time, and if you want an hour of all of my thoughts on this book, then please do check out our live show. So those are all of the books I read in June. As I said, I did read 17 books, but I didn't read anything absolutely amazing because I did have a lot of 3-star reads. I'm really hoping July is better for me in terms of reading, and at this point we're on the 4th of July and I finished 2 books, so it's got potential. So on that note, thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.